From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink. The North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
Oh, we're there again. Oh dear.
Good morning.
Well, we are.
Yes, we are.
Where's Roy?
Where is he?
We are here.
A new
Where
game
is he?
show.
Come on, what have you
Sweeping
done
the
with it?
North East.
You sound like Dad.
Hello. I'm stuck on a radiator in Australia.
G'day, I'm stuck in a hole.
Yeah.
Send Skippy. Well,
What do you mean, Skippy?
That, I mean, you've brought that up, Steve, and obviously I have alluded to on X, formerly known as Twitter, that there is a new game today, and it is a little bit about right. Did you get the music I sent you last night, Dave?
I did, mate, but you've got to bear in mind, I can't just, let's talk about it off air, because that would be a little... Yes, I've got it, mate. I've got it. In a roundabout way, I've got it. Yes.
You're right. That's fine. That's fine. A simple yes or no will do for the listener.
Yeah. Just technical considerations, that's all, mate, on how I get it.
They don't need to know about that. It's all fine. It's all going to be fine. So yes, I do have a one-off game show today where I'm going to pit Steve against Radio Dad.
Oh.
Wow.
Great stuff.
And it's called Rye Me a River.
I like it.
Which may have given away the music
Is it the
that I sent. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of general knowledge about Australia, being as we're missing Rye at this moment in time. So yes, we're going to have Rye Me a River a bit later on as well. But we've got important things to discuss as well, lads. Like
don't go to the club headlines just yet, because I haven't completed writing them.
Oh, that's fine, that's fine.
So get into the important stuff first.
Well, the important stuff first. Messi has won the FIFA Men's Player of the Year 2023. What an utter joke that is. But there you go. We'll talk
Absolutely
about
brilliant.
that.
Absolutely brilliant player. Thoroughly deserved.
Player, but all of his 6 goals.
Look,
in
he's
the
won
MLS.
Ballon d'Or. He's won FIFA's best. I mean,
he hasn't
mate,
been
you might
the men's
know,
best player in the world in 2023.
Mate, I think
he hasn't.
This is just a character assassination by the Mackem on the show. Just doesn't like him. Fancies Cristiano Ronaldo. Wears his underpants. So anything Messi.
You're
is
missing the
bad.
whole. You're missing the whole point. This is for the last year, and it's not.
Yes,
he's not the player
exactly.
of the year, for God's sake.
You're missing the whole point.
Not.
He's sweeping
He
the
scored
board.
19
He's
goals. Haaland
sweeping
scored
the
30.
board.
Yes.
He
Sweeping
won
the board with everything.
He won the Liga, and he won an MLS League Cup. Haaland won the Premier League, the Champions League, and the FA Cup.
But the facts are,
it's
he's won Ballon
ridiculous.
d'Or. He's won FIFA's best
You don't get
award.
that. You don't win an award for something you've won in the past.
Lads, opinions are like backsides. We all have one, but the facts are the facts.
And some of us should have them professionally, thoroughly checked.
We're going to send
love that.
Haaland an egg cup, a golden egg cup, and he can be our player of the year, Ted.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, 100% agree with that. Let's find his address. No, let's not, because I've got told by the police I can't do that anymore.
God, you're just replacing Rye here.
I know. Nobody can replace that. I've just noticed
Maybe that's where he is. Maybe he's in
on my
prison.
notes as well.
Oh, never. Prison.
Wait, I mean, Australia kind of is.
Yeah, it is.
By definition. Anyway, so yes, I've just noticed a horrible spelling mistake in my notes here. I've got Man City. I'm just going to correct that. We've got Man City monopolising players, lads. Obviously, they're not really using Calvin Phillips at this moment in time, but they also want a ridiculous loan fee. They want the club that's going to loan him to cover most, if not all, of his wages as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about monopolising talent. Video I sent you the link to yesterday, lads, the VAR trial in Ligue 1 in France. Audio
Brilliant.
throughout the whole process.
Brilliant.
Isn't that class? Absolutely brilliant. We're going to talk about that as well, because that was great. As we alluded to yesterday, Everton and Forest were officially charged yesterday. So obviously I'm getting more of an understanding of the rules, as are the rest of the listeners as well, who weren't previously aware of it. We like to educate on this show. Are the owners gambling historic clubs, chasing after a dream they've just got no chance of achieving? We're going to talk about that. Forest have spent 300 million on 43 players. I mean,
That's mental.
they're trying to collect them like Pokemon. It's just ridiculous.
crazy.
That, like.
That summer transfer splurge where they brought in all of those players, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I mean, it's absolutely mental.
And then they expected Steve Cooper to get a tune out of them.
Yeah.
After basically giving a whole first team squad to him, going, there you go, that's all brand new. And
by the way, he did so well
some legacy
to keep
players.
them up. He did so well to keep them up. Yeah,
he did, absolutely.
I've also had a question last night, and I've just had a reminder this morning from Sean, the Sunderland fan. He said, did the supporters club get back to you, Ted?
No, not yet. I've got some leads to follow up today, but obviously I've got to be at work as well. Before anybody cracks a joke, yes, it's not Leeds, it's Sunderland. I know. I know you were thinking about it, Dave.
I was.
I can read
I was actually thinking more about Sunderland fans coming to Steve for information, not you.
Well,
I've only got 22 followers on X. You know. As it was pointed out to me by Newcastle fan.
Mate. That's excellent.
Yeah, oh God,
we're in one of those moods.
Awful.
In one of those moods.
No, Steve, I haven't had anything yet. I'm gonna follow up a couple of things today. I mean, I genuinely do just want to speak to them about what they actually do. And that's maybe why they're avoiding me like the plague. I don't know. We don't know until we speak to them. So yes, I'll follow up a couple of things today, and we'll see how we go. There's other exciting things happening today as well. But I've got to keep that under the wraps for now, haven't I, Dave?
Yeah, yeah, whatever that is. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave's got a long memory. Brilliant. The other thing I'm going to cover off as well. It's also something that we opened the conversation yesterday about rules in football. Obviously, you know, the Man City goalkeeper whose name has absolutely just disappeared from my head all of a sudden.
Edison,
I thought it was. I didn't want to risk it. Edison obviously picked up an injury because of this daft offside rule. So I put it out to the page that I write for last night, funnily enough. What rules are you kind of thinking are absolutely stupid? And what rules would you like to bring in? So we've got a couple of suggestions on that one. Some of them actually pretty good. Some of them are downright insane, which is obviously that cross-section of Sunderland fans that you always expect to get. But I didn't realise that in the early days of football, lads, goalkeepers were not allowed to touch the ball with their hands. Rule was only introduced in 1863. There you go. You learn something new every day. So yeah, we've got that. We've got some other nonsense as well to talk about. But is Dave ready for the headlines?
Oh yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean? Is he ready for the headlines? Of course I am.
You were still writing them, weren't you?
That was a while ago, mate. You've got a very short memory. Here we go.
Magpies and Proud. Mags News.
Newcastle United's Yankuba Minteh was in the Gambia starting lineup as they began their African Cup of Nations campaign on Monday against Senegal. The 19-year-old attacker, who is currently on loan at Dutch side Feyenoord, won his second senior international cap and played 83 minutes of a 3-0 defeat against the Ivory Coast. Newcastle United Joe Linton could be facing a season-ending surgery for a thigh injury that could see him ruled out for up to 4 months. Joe Linton sustained the injury in a 3-0 win over Sunderland on January the 6th, and initial tests revealed he could be out for around 6 weeks. However, a source has told ESPN that further assessments have suggested he may need surgery to keep the injury from reoccurring and will keep him out for months longer. The Brazil international is keen to avoid surgery, a source said, and will undergo further tests with a specialist. And having won all 5 of their home league games to date, Newcastle United under-18s were unable to prevent the league leaders extending their own 100% seasonal record to 11 games at Little Benton this weekend. After a scoreless first half, with a little goal-mouth action, the visitors went ahead through Ethan Williams on 56 minutes. And looking for their 5th consecutive clean sheet, the Red Devils came a cropper with 12 minutes of normal time remaining when Jack Kingdon's overhead pass left his own keeper Tom Miles stranded. However, parity proved to be fleeting, and within 2 minutes Manchester United regained the lead when Ashton Misson fired home at the second attempt. The Black and Whites pushed for a second equaliser but were caught out in the 90th minute when Jace Fitzgerald found space on the left and stroked a low effort past Adam Harrison. Tickets for the Fulham FA Cup game are still on sale today. I believe there's around 780 tickets left, so do not miss out. Get yourself online now, nufc.co.uk to get your tickets today. And that is your Newcastle United headlines on Tuesday morning.
Smoggies and Proud. Borough News.
Oh, morning Borough fans. It was nice to see Alan Shearer waxing lyrically about Borough and their fans. Speaking on the Rest is Football podcast, the former Newcastle hero described Borough as brilliant against Chelsea and said the Riverside atmosphere was rocking. Shearer says he'd not be surprised to see Borough frustrate Chelsea at Stamford Bridge next week and get the result they need. Reports are suggesting Crystal Palace have identified Michael Carrick as their number one candidate to replace Roy Hodgson at the end of the season. According to Football Transfers, they also claim that the Eagles approached the Borough back in March after Patrick Vieira was dismissed from his duties at Selhurst Park but were rebuffed. And finally, great to see Borough's Aussie duo Riley McGree and Sammy Silvera featuring Australia's winning start at the Asian Cup. The pair came off the bench for the final half hour of the Socceroos' 2-0 win against India at the weekend. McGree played a role in the second goal, which was scored by Jordan Boss. Australia now top the Group B after one round of games and face Syria in Doha on Thursday.
Mackems and Proud. Black Cats News.
Good morning, Sunderland fans. Sunderland have been linked with West Ham striker Divin Mubama, but will face competition from Championship rivals West Brom, according to reports. The Daily Mail claims the Hammers could let the 19-year-old attacker leave the club during the January transfer window, with Sunderland eyeing reinforcements in the forward department, though they have also reportedly offered him a new deal, with his present contract having just 6 months left to run. It had been thought that Sunderland would target a slightly older and more experienced striker, with Bournemouth and Wales international striker Kiefer Moore mentioned as a potential incoming, or certainly someone of his profile and ilk. Further to the headline that we brought you yesterday regarding Liverpool's interest in keeper Anthony Patterson, it's emerged two more Premier League giants are keeping tabs on him. Manchester City are considering changing their backup keeper, and Patterson is a shot stopper they have done their homework on. Current number 2, Stefan Ortega Moreno, has been reliable in goal when needed, but the 31-year-old is out of contract in 2025. Arsenal, meanwhile, could sell Aaron Ramsdale, which could leave them in need of a new backup for David Raya. And finally, some team news ahead of Friday's match against Hull City at the Stadium of Light. It's not looking great for Hull ahead of their trip north, with two key players potentially sidelined. One who will definitely miss is Liam Delap, with manager Liam Rosenior confirmed that he will be in the treatment room for up to 3 months. It's a huge loss for Hull, made even worse by the potential absence of another first-choice attacker in Aaron Connolly. The 23-year-old is a doubt after colliding with Angus Gunn during the Tigers' defeat to Norwich City last time out, with Connolly forced off following the incident. That's your news for today. This is another new one.
The cat, the tune, and the red.
Yeah, it's not as funky though. Not as funky.
I quite like it.
Yeah.
It's a bit more guitar-y pop, which is that's up my street. That floats my boat.
That's
definitely.
up your alley, is it? Right up your alley.
It certainly is. Indeed. Right. Down to business, lads.
As we all break into a combination of Smashy and Nicey, Kenneth Williams and Alan Partridge. Not half.
And a bit of Frankie Howard as well.
I thought you could say Frankie Vaughan there. I was getting worried.
Titter you not.
No. Exactly. I love Frankie Howard.
He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. I used to watch Up Pompeii whenever it was on. It was brilliant.
It's just class. It was all tongue-in-cheek. It was intelligent comedy, wasn't it?
Would it be on TV, though, this day and age?
No.
Probably not.
Probably not. TV's just going to go absolutely just like sterile. It's just going to be Love Island on repeat for 24 hours. It's that's why they call it programmes, you see.
But I still don't understand how Love Island gets a run, because surely there must be some people out there. I mean, where are the Mary Whitehouses of the current era? You know, that should complain about scantily clad, I was going to say men and women, but they're barely that. You know, showing everything they've got and snogging and doing all that sort of stuff on telly, and people being voyeurs in everything that's going on. I mean, it smacks of a Mary Whitehouse case, that one.
It does. But I mean, there's just this massive appetite for vacuous youths with no talent, no brains, being put on TV for our entertainment.
Mind you, I did get sucked into Traitors last night. My daughter was watching.
I've never
Traitors.
seen it.
Don't spoil it.
Mate, I'm hooked. Absolutely hooked. You know,
So
I
when
had
people
I watched
mention
the
this,
last
is it worth
series.
me getting into it?
I had to get up. I mean, I watched the first series. That was all right. I was happy to dip in and out and miss lots. But the second series, I'm hooked. Absolutely hooked. I couldn't go to bed last night until the last episode, until my daughter had played the last one she was going to play before she went to bed. So it's like, I'm not letting you see anything that I'm not going to get to see. So bags under the eyes this morning, mate. I'm hooked.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to have to give that a go. There's a lot of people saying it's brilliant.
Like
Yes. Anyway, another thing we watched yesterday that I sent over was this VAR trial in League 1.
Oh, magnificent.
Isn't it? So just for the benefit of everyone out there, if you haven't seen it, it is doing the rounds out there at this moment in time. So it's basically a video clip of a VAR decision. It was a penalty decision initially awarded by the referee that then goes to a VAR replay. Throughout this whole VAR thing, the referee is mic'd up. You also hear the communication with the room, the VAR panel. And basically, it just gives 100% transparency. And the other thing I noticed as well, lads, is the level of politeness in which the opposing player actually approaches the referee, which is vastly different to what we're used to seeing in the Premier League. But I think, obviously, these players have recognised that the referee's mic'd up.
Yeah.
It's going to be live.
That'll be it,
Everyone can hear
100%.
what's going on.
Yep.
And I think it solves two problems right away, lads. I don't know what you think of it.
Well, let's come straight back onto that. But you made that point about the players knowing the refs mic'd up. Look at what happened in the trials with North Riding County FA with the cameras on the refs.
Yep.
They were wearing body cameras, and there wasn't one incident of dissent when the referees had the body cameras on, which is vastly different to what normally happens in parks football when the referees don't have body cameras on, as you well know, my friend.
Yes, absolutely.
But this was absolutely magnificent because, you heard, you watch. Obviously, you had the pictures of the game, but underneath the pictures of the game, you heard exactly what the referee was saying. You heard him explaining to players his decision about the player pulling him back from the shoulder, so it was a penalty. You even heard him talking to one of the sets of players and saying it was him, and you see him pointing at the player saying who was the player at fault. And then you can clearly hear the players approaching the referee and saying, but it's not, it was the slightest of touches. It was not worthy of a penalty, enough. Referee. There's not enough there. Please check your VAR. Please check your VAR. To which the referee responded, yeah, they're doing that, as he's standing on the penalty spot. So you're hearing and seeing everything that's going on. You cannot be more transparent. And I've got the prayer mat out because I really, truly hope this was live, played out like this. This is not post-production, is it? Please tell me.
No, I hope not. I mean, it looked genuine.
So.
I think, look, it's everything we've spoken about on this programme and more. It's the way VAR should be handled, and how many times have we said, why can't it be like rugby? They've got it right in rugby. For so many years they've got it right in cricket, and why is it so poor in football? Even down to the cameras and that they use, there seem to be obscure angles, not enough angles, blurred vision, on the picture, and then lack of communication to supporters, which doesn't make for a spontaneous atmosphere. And then the time it takes due to indecision, the whole thing really is something which we've all become so annoyed and frustrated with. And what we saw yesterday on that video, which I'm not sure whether you shared it on your social media.
Yeah, we put it out on the Facebook sites for the three radio stations. So if anybody wants to go and grab it, get onto the Facebook pages now, and you can have a look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people can let us know what they think about it. Drop us a text, because I just think it was, well, it's faultless that doing it that way. And at least even if there was a mistake made with that particular way of doing it,
which there was, wasn't there? There was the referee overturned his decision in the end.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be as bad. What I mean is, if there was an error, like we've seen with VAR,
or like an error in the VAR decision.
I'm with you. Yeah.
I don't think yes, the person would, the team would be disappointed, but, would say, well, look, mistakes can happen. But if, I just don't think you'd get many. I think you would find that, you would more or less get a good strike rate with the decisions here. I think it's great. Yeah, it was a good video, but I think it was genuine. I do think it was genuine.
And all credit to the VAR team, because it would be so easy for them to look at this scenario or any scenario they're faced with and try and find a reason to support the referee, support their mate on the pitch. But the guys straight away said to the referee, "You need to have a look at this. It's only the slightest of contacts. Get over to the screen and have a look, because it really is a light touch." So he's actually already communicating to the referee, "You might have got it wrong here, mate. You need to take another look, and this is how you need to view this." Rather than, as we all know, other than Michael Oliver, all referees go across there, and I think the foremost thought in the team's mind is, let's not make our mate look stupid. Michael Oliver obviously had the bollocks to turn around and say, "No, I'm going to stand by my original decision despite what everybody's thinking." But yeah, I just love the whole transparency, the team play, everything around getting a decision right.
Mr. Referee referred to as well, which was a big thing for me. It was, I remember the heyday of Man United. I bet you have, bless you. I remember the heyday of the likes of Keane and Keown just absolutely tearing into referees and making themselves look all intimidating. So to see something like that where they've recognised, I can't say anything out of order here, everyone's going to hear it. It's the game, it's the way the game should be played. Should be played respectfully. The referees had the sense to go and check that, get the decision right. And like what you say, Steve, even if there was a mistake in the VAR decision, you can hear that audio and go, well, that's how he's arrived to it. It's a genuine mistake. This is how he's arrived to that decision. Whether it's right or wrong is immaterial at this stage. That's we can get a better understanding as fans of football as to what goes into these decisions. And, by educating ourselves further, then, we're more open to these kind of changes, I guess. So yeah, I just thought it was a cracking video. Like Dave's just said as well, check out on the Facebook pages for each station. It's on there now. It's well worth a look. And I just think. I think there's we need it. A
little bit of applaud in the direction of FFF as well, the federation, for allowing it to be done, the French Football Federation, because that's a really tough thing to do. Because football associations do not like exposing their match officials to ridicule, to potential almost harassment situations. And I know for a fact that because I was trying to get mic'd up for a game I refereed, and the ultimate sanctioning body at the time, this was outside of England, they couldn't make a decision, so they just ignored everything, so we couldn't go ahead and do it. Yet I was happy as the referee, the competition was happy as a competition, the two clubs that were competing in that game were happy, and obviously the TV broadcaster was delighted to have had it done. But then nobody dare make a decision, so hats off to the French Football Federation for saying, they're not hanging their match officials out to dry, which is the fear of most football associations around the world. What they're doing is they're showing complete transparency and lifting the lid so people can see within and see these people are human. There is a team ethic behind all of this. And yes, like Steve says, there can be mistakes made, but at least you get an understanding of how they come about.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great stuff. Let's hope that there is changes implemented. There has to be in VAR for next season. They need to bring in some system which is going to and it doesn't need to be a major fix. It just needs to be they just need
switch
to get
it off.
Right. Just get it right.
Just pull the plug out of the wall. That's it. That'll do it.
Stop messing it up. You know what I mean? And concentrate on the screen instead of doing whatever you're doing. Because clearly sometimes you're just not watching it. And it's just because it is a farce. It is. But it is such a simple fix. And whether it's down to the technology, whether it's down to the people who are using it, whether it's down to the people who are in control of the rules of football, we just need it. We need it sorted out because it's going from bad to worse. That's it really now. It's going from bad to worse.
Yeah, I mean, already for me, after just watching like a few minutes of video, it's already changed my mind a little bit in terms of, right, now I understand it a little bit more. I can now that I've seen that back room side of things, I'm almost a little bit more open to the idea because I can see why the intention was there to bring it in. With that transparency comes this view of like, okay, right, the communication side of things, when they get this right, it does have value. And it does add value to the game. So maybe we should change the name of the song to I Don't Hate VAR, just have a deep mistrust of it.
No, then the lyrics wouldn't work, mate. Don't forget one thing, though. Don't forget one thing. That video was edited. So what you didn't see in that video is the amount of time that elapsed.
The amount of time.
Yeah. So you still had a significant stoppage in play for that decision, ultimate decision, to be overturned. So that's one thing you don't see on that video. So it's not a, it's not a way of using VAR to get these instant decisions. That's far from it.
Yeah, true. I was edited down quite severely, I guess. But yeah, it's still it's progress. And like I say, we're talking about it. We're being educated by it, and yeah, maybe there is some value in it after all. But yeah, like I've said all along, I don't think we're going to get rid of those massive breaks in between because I'm convinced of my theory that they're going to try and use that for sort of advertising gain and monetary gain by shoving advertising breaks in between those
VAR brought to you by is going to be the first thing that hits the screens, isn't it?
Absolutely. You can see it now. And to be fair, Sky must be looking at that going, well, we've got 2 minutes. We may as well shove an advert in. You know, it's
mind you, who'd want to be associated with it because of the hatred of the thing?
Oh God, yeah.
it would have to be these parking cowboys
Traffic
who rip money out of you.
support.
Yeah, exactly. Double glazing salesman, the VAT man. Brought to you by HMRC. Don't forget to file your taxes.
That's perfect. I think you should go and pitch that, mate. I'll tell you what.
It's a winner. It's a winner, that.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of minutes before we go to the sports news. I was just going to have a quick chat about the Everton and Forest situation. We'll come back to it once we've had the sports headlines. But reactions, lads. I mean, like I said at the top, Forest have spent £300 million on 43 players. It's no wonder that they didn't bother with the financial fair play rules.
They just didn't, break the rule. They burst it like a balloon. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, they saw where the line was and they just took a run and jumped straight over it, really.
And waved goodbye to it as they steamrolled past it, yeah.
Yeah, thoughts on it, lads? What was your reaction when you saw it? Were you surprised in any way that has actually happened?
I mean, for me, Everton and Forest are looking at 6 points, I think it is, deduction. They breached the FFP rules, and rules are rules. We've already seen what's happened to Everton this season. It comes to something though when the Premier League have now suddenly decided to crack down on everybody apart from those teams which have got outstanding issues. The Man City situation. I will continue to bang on about it, but why is Man City's situation not being looked at? Now, there's multiple charges against Manchester City. Surely they should be looked at as well. Now, why we're dragging this out. But yeah, I mean, it's all down to the profitability and sustainability rules. And talk now of them changing the rules. I just don't understand. I just don't understand why they would suddenly say, right, well, we're going to change the rules unless it's going to benefit somebody. The two statements were interesting. Everton put their statement out, and they acknowledged the Premier League's decision. But obviously they're going to state their case. And they're gonna fight it, and Forest followed suit with quite a shorter statement. But for me, I just don't understand why the Premier League aren't focusing on everyone. I'd like to know why they're not focusing on Manchester City, and if they can kick the can down the road, then why can't Nottingham Forest and Everton? And this ludicrous situation we mentioned yesterday, that this decision, if appealed, would then potentially see the season end with your bottom three, but that bottom three could be altered if an appeal, for instance, fails and one of these teams or both of these teams are, let's say 4th and 5th bottom respectively, and then could end up relegated after the season
That's why
finishes.
they're talking about fast tracking it now, fast tracking the decisions.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, because the way I looked at it as well is, well, if the season's over, surely then it's a points deduction from the following season, or is it that they're trying to apply it to the season that the offence has taken place?
Yeah, I mean that's the ideal, isn't it? Because you just open a massive legal can of worms. If suddenly you found a team guilty and they weren't relegated, yet they should have a points deduction, so you give them the next season. Those teams who went down, who would have stayed up, had that points deduction had been applied during that current season, they'd be suing people left, right and centre, surely.
And the fast-track situation that you mentioned, Dave, will only see a decision reached before the teams meet in June to set the inaugural 20 teams for the Premier League. So you'll still have that situation where at the end of the season 3 teams could be in the bottom 3, and we could say those are the 3 teams that are going down. But like I say, if for instance Forest and Everton finished 4th and 5th bottom, but then their points deductions took them into the bottom 3, you could see 2 teams being saved in the summer and those 2 teams going down. So it's ludicrous, it's crazy, and it's maybe Everton and Forest need Man City's lawyers, to kick the can down the road.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's lawyers that Barry touches on with a WhatsApp that's just come in. You can WhatsApp the show this morning, 0330 043 2002. That's 0330 043 2002. Barry's message is. It's for you, Steve. Man City and Chelsea have the finances to fight a court case. City will never lose anything. FFP has to be scrapped. By the way, great show, guys. Thanks for that one, Baz.
Thank
you very much, mate.
Barry.
Yeah, like I said yesterday, shinier suits.
Yeah, the Forest situation is all down to this Brennan Johnson transfer, but the rules are set out at the start of the season and deadlines are set out at the start of the season. And he obviously went to Spurs, which was completed on deadline day, which was the 1st of September. But they're saying that should be allowed into their 22-23 accounts, even though the financial year ends on the 30th of June. So it's a minor, in their mind, I guess it's a minor. It's a minor slip up.
They had the chance to sell that player before the financial year ended, and they chose not to.
They held out for more money. That's the problem, Dave.
Yeah, they did.
But that's ridiculous. That's
if your house is burning down, you're not going to wait somebody to deliver a bigger bucket, are you? You're going to use the bucket you've got to throw water on the fire. You're not going to hang around because someone's got a bigger bucket.
It's not a fair analogy, that though. If that's going to change the whole. That's going to make things easier for the bigger teams, because suddenly you're going to have you're going to have a club that needs to sell to survive, and that means that teams like Man City, who might see a value in a player, or Spurs or Liverpool or Newcastle, it gives them an advantage because they've got the money to go out and spend on a player. So they're gonna say, well, if you don't sell us now, we're not going to bother. We're just going to go elsewhere. And I mean that £15 million, a big difference in a player. It is. I just don't think that's fair.
Well, I'm thinking of you boys, because yes, I've watched We Are Newcastle United, or whatever the title is of the documentary, and how many times when there's these backroom meetings, are they saying, but financial fair play, we can't do this because of financial fair play, we're going to be restricted by. So it sounds on the face of that documentary that a club like Newcastle United is trying to do its business correct. Now, how on earth can you, when it comes to financial reporting and financial returns, and we talked about that word transparency, can you try and shift money around from one year to the next to claim that you've not broken rules? To me, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a mess, mate. It is a complete mess. The Newcastle United programme showed you how they work behind the scenes, there's no doubt about that. And we've seen Darren Eales and Eddie Howe in the last week come out and say financial fair play is hampering us, we're not going to sign anybody. Yeah. I just wonder whether Newcastle are emphasising the fact that they're doing things properly, and putting it out there on public record.
So you guys are getting penalised by this then, because you're trying to operate within the guidelines, within the regulations, and other clubs are not. You know, it's almost a case of then, you know, in Newcastle's eyes, if they look at this, if Forest get away with what they're claiming, you know, you might as well go and sign somebody now and then sell somebody in 6 months' time and say, oh, well, that's going to offset last year's losses.
Well, this is where we're at, you know, with financial fair play. What they'll want is they want Newcastle to breach. You get the feeling they want them to breach the rules, you know. But fair play to Newcastle, they're not. In the long game, it'll play into our hands. It'll give us an advantage. But like we said when Everton were deducted 10 points, this really has now opened the hornet's nest.
It has,
and there is no way in the world anybody will get away with anything, because the Premier League can't afford the embarrassment of somebody turning around, or the legal battle, and saying, well, hold on a minute, you took 10 points off us, or you took 6 points off us, what about these? We're going to have, you know, now... You know, the genie's out the bottle. We've got, you know, the Premier League has got carte blanche now to do what they want. It could be catastrophic for the Premier League, because it is known as the best league in the world. But you know, financial penalties like this are going to really, you know, they're going to really make owners think. They're going to make. We're not going to see as many high-profile transfers. By the end of this transfer window, it'll be interesting to see who's actually signed anybody.
Everyone's terrified to do it.
Well, even Pep Guardiola said so at the weekend. You know, are you going to sign anybody? And it was a negative from him. So I don't know. This could be the most boring transfer window. Jim White and his crew could be sitting there on transfer deadline day, very cold and very bored. And there might not be anything happening. They might have to dig Harry Redknapp out and get him to sit in his car and open his window half back and explain why.
Don't accuse him of wheeler dealing.
Explain why there's no transfers. But yeah, it's a strange situation we find ourselves in at the moment. It really is.
It is. I know we're a bit late for the sports headlines. Do you want to do them, and then should we have a little quiz, lads?
If we have to.
Yes, we have to. Don't come on, enthusiasm. It's Tuesday. Let's get stuff done.
Woohoo!
You're after the sunshine tonight, mate. I don't know what you're moaning about.
I am, mate. Here we go. Hey, I love breaks, mate. Let's have some sports news. Get in.
Hey, how do you fancy winning a 3 months radio advertising campaign on the Cat, the Toon and the Red? Well, to celebrate the new year, we're offering a 3 months radio advertising campaign for businesses in the Northeast, all for free. Full details are on our websites, thecatuk.com, thetoonuk.com and thereduk.com. You're listening to The Cat, the Toon and the Red, and so are your customers. So come and get your business heard with free advertising on The Cat, the Toon and the Red to over 1.6 million people in the region. Those websites again, it's easy. thecatuk.com, thetoonuk.com and thereduk.com.
Whoa, Celestial Windows. Whoa, Celestial Windows. Whoa, Celestial Windows. Whoa, Celestial Windows. Windows, conservatories and so much more. With high security, great quality, the company you've been searching for. Whoa, Celestial Windows. Whoa, Celestial Windows.
Hey, what you doing after breakfast Monday to Friday? Why not join me, Daz, across the Northeast for our mid-morning show, full of expert analysis.
I thought commentary were awful. How switching formations round, doing it at work.
Top banter.
Because, Al, mate, is that the Sunderland game? Oh, you're sitting next to me on the plane. He says, because I want to see those Mackies get beat.
And the quiz that is sweeping the nation, name that theme. How many will you get? He's always on the scene.
Fireman Sam.
And his engine's bright and clean. Join me, Daz, right here, every weekday morning from 9 to 11.
I love this banter because this is what the Red, the Cat and the Toon's all about.
The Toon, the Cat, the Red Sport.
Everton and Nottingham Forest are facing possible points deductions over alleged breaches of the Premier League's financial rules. The leagues issued a statement claiming the clubs had confirmed to it that they breached profitability and sustainability rules after incurring losses above the permitted threshold for the assessment period up to and including the 2022-23 season. Both cases have now been referred to the chair of the independent judicial panel. There are 5 FA Cup replays this evening. Wolves take on Brentford, while Hull City travel to Birmingham City. Bolton Wanderers will pay tribute to one of their fans who died at their game at the weekend as they host Luton Town. Premier League West Ham travel to Bristol City, and Man United await the winner of the tie between Eastleigh and Newport County. And in tennis, Cameron Norrie dispelled injury worries to ease into the second round of the Australian Open. The British number 1 beat Peru's Juan Pablo Varillas.
Together across the northeast.
The Tune, the Cat and the Red.
Oh, we're back, boys.
We are indeed. I've got some breaking news, gents.
Oh, breaking.
All right, okay.
I do have some breaking news from our friend James Copley. It's just been announced that Dick is back. Dick Advocaat has abandoned his retirement plans yet again to take an international manager's role with International Minnows Curaçao. So 76-year-old Dick Advocaat back in management, unbelievably. I don't know how many bunches of flowers that they managed to send to convince Mrs. Advocaat to let him do that, but yeah, 76-year-old and back in management. It's the oldies are all coming back, like Roy and everyone else. It's quite the gang of silver surfers, isn't it?
Yeah, I always quite liked him. I did quite like him, to be honest. He was a character.
Worked miracles with us, like.
Indeed.
Absolute miracles. Have you got some music ready, Dave?
Would I let you down? That's the question.
The drama.
I can just see it now.
I might have
the
back at this at
traders?
karaoke, you know.
Northeast Footy Breakfast Traders.
By the way, I actually really like this guy.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I
I'm
think
sick
he's
of him.
brilliant.
Because the wife and the daughter just play him constantly.
Bit of professional jealousy.
Yeah. Sounds like James Bond, like this build-up, doesn't it?
It does really like Bond.
I think he deserves a crack at the Bond theme. So, this is... Well, gentlemen, welcome, first of all, to this one-off
Thank you.
quiz.
Hold on, I'll walk in.
It's not,
Hold on, I'm going to walk
It's not going to happen again. It's never, ever going to happen again. But we do miss Rye. And obviously, you know, he's building a castle or moving
yourself.
house or something. We are really. Don't be mean. Don't be mean about them. Otherwise, I'll dock a point.
Yeah, please do. Please do, because that's my only chance of winning.
I thought, no, I think you lads are going to be even on this one. You're two intelligent lads.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a game of Rye Me a River. Get it?
Yeah.
I see.
See what you did there?
I'm a creative genius, I know. So it's basically a general knowledge quiz all about the land of Oz, gentlemen. So
Creative genius, it rhymes with...
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. The planet Venus? Oh, that was what you meant.
Yes, absolutely. It's got to be. It's got to be.
It took me some time to think of that one.
You just dig these holes for yourself, Dave, at times. You really do.
I didn't say that.
So, I have 6 questions each.
Okay.
Okay. There's going to be the 6 categories. There's history, general knowledge, entertainment, geography, sport, and where are these big things found in Australia is the final one. I couldn't think of anything better to call us, but there you go.
Well, big things. Yeah, I like that, mate. It's a great description.
Where are these big things found in Australia? Yes.
Yes, brilliant.
Because we are missing our very own Whopper. Anyway, there we go. Who wants to go first, and gents? Sort it out between yourselves.
Can we just clarify with this, if the person who you're asking the question who doesn't get it, do we get a chance to have a go ourselves?
No.
Right, okay.
Because I didn't think of that until you said it. So, no, you get your 6 questions.
Well, age before beauty. Over to you, Dave.
Before beauty.
Okay.
So,
I don't
Dave,
care. Yeah, I'll go for
tell
it.
us your name, where you come from. You're Dave. You're from
Yeah, my name's
Right,
Dave. You
moving
know,
on.
thanks.
Right. Your first question. This is on history.
This is like the bit where he's starting to take his clothes off, isn't it? It's like the stripper theme.
Dave, first question.
Yes.
What does Anzac Day commemorate?
Oh, God.
Oh, isn't it? Is it Gallipoli? What is it? Oh God. Well, it's obviously armed forces. So it represents, it's like our Remembrance Day. So it's obviously remembering those Australian, New Zealand troops that died, obviously, give their life in service. Jeepers.
I'm going to give you that one, mate.
All right, then, okay. I was trying to think, was it tied to a specific battle or not, but I'm not sure. There you go.
It was the engagement of Australian and New Zealand troops in the First World War, so Remembrance Day, yeah, that's close enough for me. I'm a benevolent dictator.
Good lad, good lad.
Like that. Absolutely. So, you have got, let's see what we got next. We've got general knowledge now.
Oh, is this me? Oh, me?
Yeah, it's still you, yeah, it's all you. Okay. Steve goes next, yeah. How many stars are on the Australian flag?
Wow. It's the Southern Cross. There's Kiwis as well, isn't there? The Kiwi have the Southern Cross on, and I think there's a difference in the numbers. Which one's which? Jeepers. Because the Aussie one's all white, the New Zealand one's, the stars are red tinged in white. I think it's the full Southern Cross on Australia plus a big one. So that'd be one. Oh God. I'm going 6.
Correct.
Sir. Oh, get it! Hey, I think it's the New Zealanders who's one less. They're 5, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Right. Entertainment. I think you might get this one actually, but there you go.
When's an Aussie ever entertained?
Wow, that's a bit harsh. Like, who was the director for the movie Australia?
Oh, I'm crap at movies. Jeepers.
Obviously, they had to pick one of their own as well. I will give you a clue on them, Steve.
The only. I know Russell Crowe's done a few things after, but that's far too young. Well, there you go. That's even better news. The only one I know is the guy who did that bloomin' suntan lotion song. What was he called? Baz Luhrmann.
Wow, 3 from 3.
Oh, get in! He's the only one I know.
Wow. Absolutely brilliant. Fantastic. Right, geography next. Geography. God. I feel like Jim Bourne. It's class. The highest mountain in Australia is...
Oh, there's one in Tasmania. But then don't they also have Mount Cook? No, that's New Zealand. Oh God, where's Mount Cook?
I'm deeply regretting this one now, actually, but there we go.
Oh, heck. It's a bit unfair on Steve, this, bearing in mind my missus and kids now have the Australian citizenship.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Steve.
I will get 0 in this, by the way, so...
No.
I know absolutely nothing about Australia,
Have
mate.
faith. Have faith, Steve.
I don't know.
It is Mount Kosciuszko.
You can't even pronounce it. One chance would I have?
That's why I was deeply regretting. Right, get this. You tell me how to pronounce this thing. Kosciuszko.
G'day.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Flyman Galar.
Yeah, I didn't know that one, mate. Didn't know that one. And geography's my thing. I'm really disappointed at that one. Thank you.
We go 3 out of 4 though so far. That's not too bad. Right. In which year was the first Melbourne Cup run?
Ooh. How far back does that go? I mean, it's a massive event in Australia.
It is huge. One of my sporting bucket list.
It's 1800s. I mean, it goes back way back. It's got to be 1800s. Do I have to get the exact year? You're not giving me a range. Come on, mate.
It wouldn't be. All right then. I'll give you from 1860 to 1880.
It's early because it's really old.
That's what people say about this breakfast show and you, mate.
This is a tough.
It's early
question,
and he's really old.
This is a tough question. This one. What did you say? 1860 to 1880.
I'll have to push it.
Oh.
Take a guess or I'm going to close the book.
1863.
Incorrect, it was 1861.
Oh!
Final question. Where are these big things found in Australia?
I forgot about big things.
Dave,
there's a thing called Dave.
Dave, where is the big prawn? Don't. Come on. Be professional. Dave, where is the big prawn?
There is something called the big prawn.
Yes, there is something called the big prawn.
The big prawn. Oh, bloody hell.
Oh, Dave, it's not the lunchtime show.
Oh, mate, I mean, what sort of question?
I'll even take the state.
You'll take the state? Oh, well, I might stand a chance on the state, because that sounds like something's going to be on the coast, obviously.
No, it's one of them countryside prawns.
It's a big coast, it's a big coast. And I've done the East Coast, so I should know this. Is it Surfers area, Gold Coast area? So that would be, it's either Queensland or New South Wales. Queensland or New South Wales. I'm going to go for New South Wales.
It's in Ballina, New South Wales.
Oh, yes!
Correct. So, that's very good. You scored 4 out of a possible 6. Steve.
Prawnies.
So my questions are on Felling and Gateshead, are they?
Yes.
Well, the first one you might get, actually. This is history. Ooh. What year did Sydney... Go, hang on. Dramatic pause.
I love this. Just so the listeners know, I have got no interest in Australia and I've got no knowledge in Australia. I will get 0 unless I guess something.
Do you know anybody?
Just so everybody knows, this is not my forte. This is ludicrous and I shouldn't be playing this game.
Love the ride into the competition.
You hit every single game I create. Literally everything I do. You've just got to suck the joy out the room, haven't you?
Well, it's not joy for me, is it? Getting every question wrong.
I've got to say, in Steve's defence, mate, I don't think you come at this from an entertainment value. You come at this from an embarrassment value, just to embarrass us, boys.
Hey, 5 to 6 is pretty
good. I mean,
lads.
what year was the Melbourne Cup first run? Come on, give us a chance.
Steve, I reckon you've got a chance with this, mate. I genuinely do.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, history, first of all, mate. History, Jim, history.
Failed, got an E.
What year did Sydney host the Olympics?
Ooh.
No idea.
Come
That's
on.
going to be his answer to everything,
It's not that bloody long ago. Come on.
I don't know. I don't follow the Olympics. So I don't know. I don't honestly know. I don't even know what.
It was this millennium, mate. It was this millennium.
Yeah. Take a guess.
The millennium. 2000.
Correct.
Get it?
No way. See? So I told you it would be a guess.
Get
I had
in.
to get help from Dave going, it was this millennium.
Well, yeah.
So,
yep.
So
well
that
done,
really
mate.
wasn't a point, but okay, I'll take it.
Right, you've got a 50-50 chance of getting this one. I love
A
this
or
question.
B.
I love this question. General knowledge. True or false? Australia has the world's longest fence.
I'm going to say true.
It is true.
Oh, God. I'm
If
under pressure.
Steve beats you here, honestly.
I should
if he
never have
beats
helped him. I'm under pressure.
Right. Okay.
Oh, dude. Okay.
Who had a hit with Sadie the cleaning lady in the 1960s? I'll give you a clue on this one. I'm gonna give you a help on this one.
Yeah, you did give Dave a clue before.
So we actually had this guy. We played one of his tracks just the other day, and I said I love me some sexy bagpipes.
It was obviously a Tuesday or a Thursday.
When you were off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, who plays bagpipes?
It's a very, very well known and popular.
Hang on, point of order. How many clues are you giving per question?
Yeah.
I'm getting worried now. You can tell.
I'm trying to perk his interest in it a little bit.
I can tell you are like I would never get that in a million years. I've never
John
heard
Farnham.
of it.
Oh, you're the voice.
Yes, the voice.
Yeah.
Sexy bagpipes. There you go. Geography, Steve. Geography.
Mm-hmm.
How many states make up Australia?
Ooh.
Which Dave would have got this, you see, because he's got a good knowledge of these things.
I am a jogger, man.
I don't know what state Australia's in.
Blooming expensive.
Judging by Rye, not a very good one. I'd say. I'm just going to say 8.
It's actually 6.
Right.
Close enough, though. Close enough. It was not
That's
far.
a half a point. Great.
Yeah. 500.
It's a bit of a stretch, that one, mate.
Go on, then.
Right.
I'm just happy I've got 2.
Now I feel bad about this because you're probably going to hate this. But anyway.
Go on.
Which 2 Australian cities have held the Olympics?
Well, I do know a few cities. I would imagine if they are cities, Brisbane and Sydney.
Sydney and Melbourne.
I was going to say Melbourne was the other one I had. All right, half a point. Great. 2.5. I'll settle
Last
for
one.
that.
You need to tell me where these big things are, Steve. Steve, for your final question, can you tell me where is the big banana?
Oh, I love it. Anybody who's thinking he's going to talk about Ayers Rock, that big rock. No, it's a big banana.
I'm happy for the state. I'm happy to take the state.
Oh. Oh, brilliant.
We've just
you know,
murdered 15 minutes of airtime.
Everybody's switched off as we indulge.
I'm so sorry, listener.
I've played Michael Bublé 10 times.
I never want to hear this again. I love it.
So what are you looking for? The name of the place?
The name of the place or the state. I'm happy to take the state. So obviously you've got like Queensland, New South Wales. Another 4.
Yeah, 2 territories, by the way. 6 states and 2 territories.
Right. So I've said Sydney. I've said Melbourne. No, you said Melbourne. Sydney, Melbourne.
Go states, mate. Go states.
Adelaide.
So you've got Western Australia. You've got Queensland. You've got New South Wales, Victoria.
Trying to think of other places.
South Australia.
The Victoria was the other one I was thinking of.
They have the states. He'll give you a state. That's a wider geographical reach. You've got a better chance.
Oh, God. Where else? So there's Adelaide, Victoria, Sydney, and...
Oh, we just need to go a 2 ad coming on there. There you go.
Oh, man.
Take a guess.
Well, the only one I haven't used as an answer is Adelaide. I'll use Adelaide.
What state's that in?
South Australia.
It's a bad one. Is that where Rye lives? Where does Rye live?
Nobody knows where Rye lives.
Well, you said incorrect,
so
it's incorrect.
Rye lives in Canberra.
The big banana is in Coffs Harbour in New South Wales. There you go. New South Wales.
All these bizarre things appear on coastal resorts.
I'm deeply regretting this now. What the Fact will return.
Yes. Well, I blame Dave
Because
for banning What the Fact. This is the reason that you've had to do this. I don't blame you at all. I blame Dave.
I know. I've just turned into some sort of musical performing monkey or quiz performing monkey. And it's just got to end. I think we should go to the news, Dave. Do you?
I think that'd be a damn good idea. Talk to you soon, boys.
Absolutely.
See you, bye.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swarwell to Silverlink. The Northeast Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the northeast, the red, the tune and the cat.
Oh, it goes on a chunk, but well worth it. Chris Rea,
You reckon?
Steel River. What? You reckon what?
You reckon?
Reckon what?
Goes on a bit. I've had relationships shorter than that.
Hey. Got a message for you, actually, mate. Got a real message for you, which is
A real one?
Yeah, a real one. It's young Jack. He's been in touch,
yes.
and he wants to know. He says, "Good morning, lads." Morning, Jack.
Good morning, Jack.
Morning,
I hope
Jack.
Ted is proud of himself this morning.
Right.
That's
Okay.
it. That's the message. I think he's referring to how the torture you've just put us through for 15 minutes, mate.
I think it is because he actually contacted me via X last night. He's one of the 22.
I just realised I'm not following you, or whatever you do on Twitter.
Well, not many people do, mate. Not many people do. This account I've got just to kind of like explain the situation why I have 22 people. I've had that account for like, oh god, years, 11 years, something like that. But I never ever used it. So what I did when I got this gig,
When you became a
you
radio
fine
star,
gentlemen-
yeah.
Oh, really? No, not yet. When I got this gig, I thought, I'm going to have to do that because obviously the lads are very active on there. Rye's on there, Steve's on there, yourself as well. And I thought, right, I'm going to have to like rehash it. Now, I couldn't remember how to log in, so I thought, right, I had to go through this horrible process.
It's a good advert, isn't it, for being IT literate?
I know.
I did not log in.
I am. I used to sell tech. It's absolutely incredible. I don't know how. Maybe because I'm a nice lad and they felt sorry for me. So yeah, basically, I completely deleted everything off the account and restarted with the Ted brand and all that sort of thing.
Excellent.
And yeah, so I'm just building it up from now to again. So there's you, Jimmy Coppers, Steve, Rye, and a couple of the listeners as well. And yeah. So what I was getting to with that is Jack C actually messaged me last night, and I gave him the choice. And I'm sorry I didn't get back to you this on as well, Jack. I gave him the choice of what do you want? Should I do What the Fact or should I do Who's Ted Gonna Let Out? And he went for Who's Ted Gonna Let Out, but then I had the idea about Rye Me a River just as I was going to bed, and that's what I did. Exciting story. It's a thrilling chase for the listener.
Completely enthralled. Yeah, indeed.
Before we send them all to sleep, should we have some club headlines?
Okay, then you can start.
All right.
Mackems and Proud. Black Cats News.
Good morning, Sunderland fans. Sunderland have been linked with West Ham striker Divin Mubama, but will face competition from Championship rivals West Brom, according to reports. The Daily Mail claims the Hammers could let the 19-year-old attacker leave the club during the January transfer window, with Sunderland eyeing reinforcements in the forward department, though they have also reportedly offered him a new deal with his present contract having just 6 months left to run. It had been thought that Sunderland would target a slightly older and more experienced striker, with Bournemouth and Wales international striker Kiefer Moore mentioned as a potential incoming, or certainly someone of his profile and ilk. Further to the headline we brought you yesterday regarding Liverpool's interest in Anthony Patterson, it's emerged two more Premier League giants are keeping tabs on him. Manchester City are considering changing their backup keeper, and Patterson is a shot stopper they've done their homework on. Current number 2, Stefan Ortega Moreno, has been reliable in goal when needed, but the 31-year-old is out of contract in 2025. Arsenal, meanwhile, could sell Aaron Ramsdale, which would leave them in need of a new backup for David Raya. And finally, some team news ahead of Friday's match against Hull City at the Stadium of Light. It's not looking great for Hull ahead of their trip north, with 2 key players potentially sidelined. One player who will definitely miss out is Liam Delap, with manager Liam Rosenior confirming that he will be in the treatment room for up to 3 months. It's a huge loss for Hull, made even worse by the potential absence of another first-choice attacker in Aaron Connolly. The 23-year-old is a doubt after colliding with Angus Gunn during the Tigers' defeat to Norwich City last time out, with Connolly forced off following the incident. They are your Sunderland headlines.
Magpies and Proud. Mags News.
Newcastle United's Yankuba Minteh was in Gambia's starting lineup as they began their African Cup of Nations campaign on Monday against Senegal. The 19-year-old attacker, who is currently on loan at Dutch side Feyenoord, won his second senior international cap, but played 83 minutes of a 3-0 defeat on the Ivory Coast. Newcastle United midfielder Joe Linton could be facing season-ending surgery for a thigh injury that could see him ruled out for up to 4 months. Joe Linton sustained the injury in the 3-0 win over Sunderland, and initial tests revealed he should be out for around 6 weeks. However, a source told ESPN that further assessments have suggested he may need surgery to keep the injury from reoccurring, and that will keep him out for months longer. The Brazilian international is keen to avoid surgery, a source said, and will undergo further tests with a specialist. And having won all 5 of their home league games today, Newcastle United under-18s were unable to prevent the league leaders extending their own 100% seasonal record to 11 games at Little Benton. After a scoreless first half with little goalmouth action, the visitors went ahead through Ethan Williams on 56 minutes. But looking for their 5th consecutive clean sheet, the Red Devils came a cropper with 12 minutes of normal time remaining when Jack Kingdon's overhead pass left his own keeper Tom Miles stranded. However, parity proved to be fleeting, and within 2 minutes Manchester United regained the lead when Ashton Misson fired home at the second attempt. The Black and Whites pushed for a second equaliser but were caught out in the 90th minute when Jace Fitzgerald found space on the left and stroked a low effort past Adam Harrison. And don't forget, Newcastle fans, the tickets for the FA Cup 4th round clash against Fulham are on sale. We are down to 60 loyalty points now, around about 700 tickets remaining, so get yourself onto the website nufc.co.uk to get your tickets today. That's your Newcastle United headlines on Tuesday morning.
And I love how it's called Little Benton. It sounds so cute.
It does. Very nice.
Sorry, mate, I didn't realise you were going to stick your lips around a cup of tea there.
Okay. A glass of water, mate.
All right then. Okay, Borough turn. Borough turn.
After reading the headlines, you need
proud. Borough News.
Oh, it was nice to see Alan Shearer waxing lyrically about the Borough and its fans. Speaking on the Rest Is Football podcast, the former Newcastle hero described Borough as brilliant against Chelsea and said the Riverside atmosphere was rocking. Shearer says he'd not be surprised to see Borough frustrate Chelsea at Stamford Bridge next week and get the result they needed. Lineker, though, reckons Chelsea are at Wembley. Reports are suggesting Crystal Palace have identified Michael Carrick as their number one candidate to replace Roy Hodgson at the end of the season. According to Football Transfers, they're also claiming that the Eagles approached Borough back in March after Patrick Vieira was dismissed from his duties at Selhurst Park but were rebuffed. And finally, it's great to see Borough's Aussie duo of Riley McGree and Sammy Silvera featuring in Australia's winning start to the Asian Cup. The pair came off the bench for the final half hour of the Socceroos' 2-0 win against India. McGree played a role in the second goal, which was scored by Jordan Boss. Australia top Group B after one round of games and now move on to face Syria in Doha on Thursday.
The blue, the red and the cat.
Okay, boys.
After all that excitement. So, a man who Steve waxed lyrically about yesterday as well, Pep Guardiola, being named the Men's Coach of the Year at the FIFA Best Awards in London. I mean, I think we can all agree he's the best around right now. I don't think anybody can surpass him in terms of current managers out there. There's some good ones, don't get me wrong. Some very good managers out there. In fact, Simeone for one example. But yeah, he stands out, I think, as head and shoulders above the rest of the crowd. But in terms of all-time greats, there's maybe a little bit of a criticism from some angles that Pep's been very lucky with the budgets he's had. You know, a little bit like Mourinho in a way as well, I guess. Pep's always had tons and tons of money to spend, no matter where he's been. Has he just been lucky with the budgets, or are we looking at a genuine all-time great up there with the likes of Busby, Ferguson and all that lot? What do you reckon, lads?
Yeah, he's one of the greats. He's one of the greats, mate. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he has played some fantastic football. He's come up with some great teams, and he went a season in the Premier League without a centre forward.
Yeah,
and managed to win the league. I mean, you know, he's changed the face of football in the Premier League, probably in a greater way than Kevin Keegan did in the 90s with the Entertainers, because, you know, Newcastle's Entertainers, you know, with the exception, I guess, of our local rivals, were everyone's favourite second team. People used to tune in to Sky under the days of Vic Wakeland and
not mine.
You know, and they used to tune into Sky and love watching Newcastle play. So it became that became the first real team that had an impact on the Premier League, I think. And subsequently from that, Arsenal probably took on the mantle as challengers to Manchester United, and they had a really great attacking brand, and Arsene Wenger and Alex Ferguson in the Premier League era are probably the greatest managers. You've had people like Mourinho, of course, who did very well. You had Rafa Benitez, of course, had a good run, but again, not really as good. He was at Liverpool at a transitional time, still managed to win trophies. But I think Pep Guardiola is, since the days of the noisy neighbours in Manchester, which is what Alex Ferguson called them, he has really. He's not only been the noisy neighbours. He's took over the street, and he's become he's literally become one of the greatest managers. He's up there. There is no doubt now with Alex Ferguson and with Arsene Wenger, and I think that if he can win the Champions League again this year, he could he rivals Ferguson already. He could surpass Ferguson in the amount of he's coming close to his trophies total. I think it will be. Pep would never say he's got an ambition, and he would say it's not about him, it's about the team. But we all have ambitions. We've all got aims, and I would imagine he would like to be the manager before he leaves Man City, which inevitably will. All managers move on. I think he would like to be the one. I think he would like to be known as the manager who won the most Premier Leagues and who won the most Champions Leagues as well. Yeah. And that will be their aim. And it's took them such a long time to get to that level to win the Champions League. Now they've done it once, they can easily do it again. And, I think they've just got the balance right. He certainly has... he's certainly got the playing squad there. That is an envy of everyone in the Premier League. They can literally put on two 11s and probably half a and a five-a-side team probably. They've got so much cover. Probably three players for each place. And they've got the academy right. They've got players coming through their academy who they're not afraid to give a go to, and to say Oscar Bob scored the goal at the weekend, his first Premier League goal must have given him a vast amount of joy. And they've got the academy right. They've got the first team right, and he keeps an eye on it all. But money's of course it plays its part. No doubt about it, they've been at it now for 13, 14 years, these owners. They've got the right manager, and the managers that went before weren't half bad either. Even was it Mancini? Who probably stood out for me amongst the previous incumbents of the dugout at Man City. But he was great. They've had some great ones. I mean, Sven Gordon Eriksson was there, I think, wasn't he? He
was the initial one once the money started coming in. Actually,
he was probably the man who started things rolling. But they've invested wisely. The stadium and the mini stadium that they have as well is something which imagine being a reserve player or a kid coming through and getting an opportunity to play your reserve games in front of your own crowd at a smaller stadium. Fantastic, man. There is a buzz around City. It's everything that Newcastle wants to be, I guess, and more. But it will take time for Newcastle to be at that level. But Pep Guardiola for me, no doubt about it. On his way to becoming the greatest Premier League manager of all time. I don't think he's got much more to prove. But I like him. I do like him. And I think
everyone does, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Nothing to add.
Guy. I was going to say, Dave, I mean, just the only thing I was going to add, and Steve hinted at it there, is it's not often we get a manager that comes along that completely revolutionises the way teams play. This whole thing, we see fullbacks sort of tucking into midfield positions and things like that now. We see playing out from the back a whole lot more. And a lot of that is down to the way that Pep has brought success to Man City, and people want to copy that style. And why not? It's entertaining to watch, isn't it?
I mean, and a lot of clubs this day and age copying it now. I mean, Borough and Sunderland, two prime examples where particularly Carrick. Carrick really rams home to his players.
With lesser success, may I add.
Yes, absolutely. Play it out from the back, and if you're going to drop fanties from time to time, that's on me because I'm telling you to do it. I mean, that's how insistent he was. Mind you, he did change his tactics against Chelsea when it started getting tight. He was telling them to get it upfield. But look, Pep Guardiola's a great manager. He is. Yes, he's had the budget. You're right, Steve, to point that out. But so's Jose Mourinho, wherever he's gone, and he had success initially, but then he didn't have success at certain clubs. So it's Pep's stood the test of time to measure his effectiveness as a manager, and he's done just that. Look at some of the players he's brought through. He's brought in from mainland Europe, continental Europe, players that you might not have heard of before, but he was on top of it. He's turned some good players into great players, but he just gets his team to gel. He doesn't seem phased. Yeah, he does rant and rave, but then he's a human being, and I think all of us on this show have said, are we ruling Man City out from taking the Premier League title, even though Liverpool look
not a chance.
Semi-invincible at the moment, the way they're playing? Absolutely not. I'm still tipping City. I think he's a subscriber of that very old, well worn out phrase of it's not how you start the season, it's how you end it, because that's what he seems to do. If things are not going right during the season, you can damn well guarantee they will be right come the end of the season. I've got nothing else to add about Pep. He's a great manager.
Top man indeed. One thing that I was noticed, kind of just before, I know we're heading in towards the sports headlines in 5 minutes, but the defensive side of the game is something that I would say doesn't get ignored with Pep. But obviously, I think the focus is on, right, we'll score more goals than what we're going to concede, and that's kind of the focal point there. Something that I became aware of just recently, interesting stat this as well. I played as a centre-back in Stockton Sunday League 3rd Division. Third, not the 4th, the 3rd. I was never that bad. I'll have been likened to Maldini and Baresi at the time. I'm sure of that. I'm sure that's what the lads were calling me behind me back.
By the way, it was that league. It was that league that I played in, and I got tackled 3 yards off the pitch. Seriously, the ball ran over the line for a throw-in, which I just jogged off the pitch to get. As I'm bending down to pick the ball up, the fullback comes in and just takes me out. I'm 3 yards off the pitch.
Oh, Lord. Who did you play for?
It wasn't me, was it? A county cup game?
Oh, mate. Was it you? All right, then, okay. Yeah.
Who did you play for, Dave?
I played for a couple. of teams, but I can't remember which one was in which league. Played for Bull Call, played for Cleveland Cables, played for there's a whole host of them, mate. That I ended up playing for. Obviously, couldn't keep my place, so I kept moving around. It gives you an indication of how I used to play. We've got a WhatsApp in. It's Daniil. Daniil has sent us a WhatsApp in. Good morning, Daniil.
Hi, mate.
Morning, gents. Financial fair play is meant to be about fairness. Everton and Notts Forest have been punished, whereas not a Dickie Bird said about Chelsea and Man City's misdemeanours. Can't see any fairness in these situations. If a club has violated financial rules, make sure they're hauled over the coals, irrespective of who they might be.
I agree to a certain extent with that, but I think because I feel like the Premier League's going for low-hanging fruit, and I said that from the start with this, that Everton were almost like an easy target. But given the complexity and given the number of cases, using Man City as the example here, I agree with you, Daniil. Everybody should be held to account if they've broke the rules. 100%, mate. However, if you're talking 10 points for one misdemeanour for Everton and there's 105 being levelled at Man City, that's going to take
Sunday
more
League.
Time to unravel.
Pep managing in the Stockton Sunday League, love it.
Literally, they're going to have a cup game against Cleveland Cables in no time, mate. It's your chance to tackle somebody 3 yards off the pitch.
Alistair will get it sponsored if you're listening.
I have a story about that, but I'll come back to it another time.
Okay.
So obviously, there's a lot to unpack with the Man City and Chelsea cases. So as long as they are held to account, and they get everything in order and can level these charges at them, if they are proper and if they are understood to be completely within the realms of them breaking the rules. As long as they can do that, then I'm all for it. If it takes that little bit longer because the punishment is much bigger, then I think we have to just bide our time with that one, Daniil, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree, mate. Yeah, can't really add anything to that.
Just think about it, though. Even if half of these 115 charges are proven, what sort of punishment's going to be levied?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If Everton got 10 points for one misdemeanor,
joke about non-league.
Yeah.
But, what else can you do other than you've got to give them what's that, a 1,050 point deduction?
That's it, yeah.
I mean, it's insane, but you've got to play.
They take it all at once
the
and drop
standard that you've set.
They take it all at once, so they finish bottom of the table, having amassed a grand total of minus 963 points that season, and they'd get relegated to the Championship for 1 year, and then they'd come back.
Then they'd storm the Championship. Yeah,
that's what had happened. Bit of a
lots to be decided with this, lads. Lots to be decided.
Oh, look, an innocent until proven guilty, and that I think is the delay behind City. Where we're speculating.
Are you proud of me? I worded that quite carefully.
Yeah, well done, mate. I'm really proud. Yeah,
I'm learning.
Get in. I might just let you present these shows you want to present by yourself on the radio, mate.
Oh, you did remember.
Of course, I'm toying with you.
I don't want to
like
leave this just to I'm just going to stick a caveat out there for Steve. I don't want to leave this one, mind you.
Cravat.
Steve. That's nothing to do with
a
cravat. Yes. Yeah.
He's hanging a cravat out there, Steve.
I'm sure a general knowledge quiz about Australia every day will do really well. Breaking
Don't
news.
Judge me on my last performance.
breaking news, by the way, Roma have sacked Jose Mourinho.
Oh, not a surprise.
So he's went to Newcastle.
That's it.
Yep. Newcastle Airport in 24 hours.
Steve's comfortable.
Pack your bags, Eddie.
Steve's comfortable.
It'll not happen.
Steve's content. He's happy. He knows it's not going to happen. Or is it?
I genuinely, I would love to know what the mood would be like on Tyneside if that actually happened. I think it'd be a very mixed response to that.
Been there, done it with some big name managers, and it doesn't always work out. And Jose is not the same Jose he was 20 years ago. It would be a massive no for me, and it would be a massive faux pas, I think, on behalf of the owners. So Jose to Newcastle, I hope not. But of course, no football for 2 weeks. You can guarantee the media is going to jump all over this.
Yeah,
we'll never hear the end of it.
And just before we go into the sports news, one thing you've got to do tomorrow, Ted, and I will be listening, is you've got to put that Australia quiz to Rye when he's back.
Do you know what? I will, because he's got 4 out of 6 to beat.
Yeah. Is he actually coming back?
I'll challenge him.
Yeah, he's back tomorrow.
Oh, right, okay, that's nice of him.
Yeah, he was one of those 10 quid flights.
Steve sounds proper put out. I love it.
I didn't even know he wasn't coming today.
Oh, he did send a message.
Yeah, he did. I don't read that WhatsApp group.
Ah, well, that's it, you see. So
unmute us.
Let's get it. This is getting far too personal between us. Let's just get in the sports news. Here we go.
The red, the cat, and the tin.
Oh, boys, nearly there.
But we are. It's flying today, isn't it?
It is.
Right, rules, boys, rules. And I know Dave likes us to try and obey them.
What?
Rules for football.
Oh dear. Laws of the game, dear chap. Laws of the game.
Indeed. Sorry, laws of the game, bless you. You do sound like a referee at times, don't you? There's a reason for that, though. Yeah, so Steve talked about it yesterday with Edison. Obviously, this silly offside rule has actually caused an injury to the Man City keeper. Not directly, of course, but events leading up to it. So I actually put it out there to the great public of what rules they think are stupid, what rules
is this
you'd
the
like
great
to
Mackem
see
public?
The great Mackem public,
right,
indeed.
We just had to qualify, yep.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the greatest of the public, then, if you want to call them that. So, yeah, I had some interesting ones, lads. Obviously, I'll buy us a little bit of time to think, what ones absolutely need getting rid of, and any changes you'd like to see. It'd be interesting to see this from your point of view as well, Dave, being a former ref as well. But got a great suggestion from a guy called Peter Sanderson. The offside rule. Now, he's got a couple of theories on this one. Either get rid of it, With attackers standing closer to the goals and needing a defender to mark them, this would spread the players across the field and open up the game. Well, okay. Otherwise, change it so a player is only offside when there is a clear, discernible gap between the defender and attacker. And obviously, when the attacker is closer to the goal. So a clear gap between, rather than these daft little ones, which I quite like that, to be honest. But
then you go from the grey area of was he, wasn't. Well, I suppose they've tried for years to make it black and white. But then you're going to go, what is a clear gap, and what isn't a clear gap, and you're introducing grey areas again straight away.
Well, surely with the technology they've got now, they can discern a clear gap between, can't they?
Yeah, but what's a clear gap? You know, what's a hole and what's half a hole? That's your problem.
There's so many answers I could give to that, but I'd absolutely lose my job and end up in front of HR.
They're listening.
So we'll move on.
No, but you can't get rid of offside, because you'll just end up with two groups of players camped in each other's 6-yard box and nobody in between.
Yeah, true enough. It would get silly. Like, somebody would do it, wouldn't it? Stuart McKellar contacted us. He said the stupidest rule has to be going off for 30 seconds after treatment before you can come back on.
You don't.
It punishes the side who have a player already needing treatment.
Blame Alan Hansen for this one.
Is that another one of them, is it?
Yeah, it was Hansen who just came arbitrarily out on Match of the Day one day 7-8 years ago and said, the referee's got to add 30 seconds on when this happens or that happens. No, he doesn't. Player doesn't have to go off for 30 seconds. What the law states is player goes down injured, needs treatment. Referee assesses, needs treatment, call a trainer on. Trainer's got to come on, assess that player, see what treatment is needed, and then get him off the field to administer the treatment, and then the game can restart. It never happens in practice. What happens in practice is trainer runs on, gives the treatment on the field. We all stand around picking our noses and wishing we had a Bovril in our hands. And then the trainer goes off with the player restarts, and the player comes back on. So they're not doing it right anyway. But there's no 30-second rule. He has to stand there. What he can't do is come back on if the active player's right next to him, because that would be unfair. He'd be rejoining the field, and the ball's at his feet, basically. So So the player has to be held back and not allowed back on until, obviously, active play, the ball is away from the area where he's going to return to the field to play. That's the only restriction.
See, we're dispelling myths here as well, gentlemen. I love that. Final one, actually, before we move on, get your ideas on it. Scrap the penalty kick. When a foul's committed in the penalty area, it's either a direct or indirect free kick from where the offence took place. It should make refereeing easier and do away with VAR. Also, increase the size of the quadrant at the four corners of the pitch. Make them 1 metre by 1 metre, and the ball has to be placed inside the quadrant and not, as it is today, 99% outside of it.
Well, they are already 1 metre by 1 metre. That's what they are, to the outside of the arc line. So any part of the ball has to be overhanging any part of that line. So you'd need to increase it a little bit further, maybe 1.5 metres for it to be inside and totally inside. But the ball's going to end up in the same position.
True enough. Like I get where he's coming from on that one, because it just looks like people trying to take the mick and steal an advantage, and it's like sort of, it's past the line or just hovering over the line by a GNU's hair, and it's just a bit ridiculous. I kind of get where he's coming from on that one. We did have one last one. It's not really a rule, but it's something I've banged on about ages as well. Get rid of the international breaks. Make clubs play without their international players, like in the 80s and 90s. It would promote the youth instead of wasting away in big clubs like Man City and Chelsea, etc. That from Brian Watson is a one that I absolutely 100% firmly believe in.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm all over that one. I love that, really do. Any for you lads? What's your most painstaking rule, and what rules would you like to change?
I would scrap penalty shootouts.
Good penalty shootout, Steve.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of the golden goal. I think penalty shootouts are unfair. Obviously, Newcastle have lost quite a few penalty shootouts over the years, so I probably would say that. But for me personally, I would go back. I would go to the golden goal. I thought it was exciting. I think it makes teams play. Some people would say, well, that means teams have got to play more, but scrap extra time, scrap penalties, just play the golden goal, and a golden goal could be scored in the first 5 minutes, and that's it, But you could end up playing 35, 40 minutes. But I think teams are more likely to have a go, to try and win the game. People don't want to be playing for the rest of the night. So yeah, I would go back to golden goal, scrap penalty shootouts. Don't like them. Don't think it's fair. Especially if it's a semi-final of a cup and it goes to that kind of penalty shootout moment. It's just you've played all of those games to get to a penalty shootout in a game of chance. It's just and all the pressure on one person. I think it's crazy. I would change the offside rule. I simplify it again because it's become very complicated. People don't understand it. The handball rule again is been messed around with so many times. Go back to if the ball hits the hand, it's a penalty, and just leave it at that. Stop messing around with it. If you want to make the game more exciting, people have suggested making the goal slightly bigger. How about I'd seen a debate on YouTube a while back about people suggesting that you change the size of the keeper's gloves. Because keepers' gloves are now heavily padded, like they're larger than they used to be. So go back to the old days. Remove the gloves. Go back to bare hands.
Like gladiator sponge mitts.
Kenny Everett's brotherly love gloves.
That's
you've got to be of a certain vintage to remember that. But there's another one as well, which was the same program I watched, which was about stopping back passes from outside of the penalty area, making them completely illegal so that you have to play forward. Limiting the number of defenders in the box, I think, was another one, which becomes so complicated, though. You know what I mean? You can imagine the furore over that, when someone's got a VAR can't cope with a simple decision. Imagine a VAR decision on whether someone's foot's in the box. If there's, it would be crazy.
You're asking footballers to count.
Exactly, but there's so many things which should be changed and could be changed, but of course, they always move and change things which don't need altering, things which are fine. I don't hold much hope in these things happening, but I think the big one for me will be scrapping penalty shootouts, because I just think it's such an unfair way of deciding a cup tie.
Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go with this, lads? There's two football fans. Where do you want to go? Do you just want to see black and white rules? See, I said rules, Ted. Do you just want it black and white, it is or it isn't? Or do you want some level of understanding for the game? So obviously subjectivity has to come in. Was it an intentional handball or was it not? Or is it black and white? Hits the hand, penalty. Obviously if it hits the hand of a defender, free kick for the defensive team if it hits the arm of a striker. Where do you want to be?
Yeah, I would just black and white rules. I mean, 100% for me.
Yeah, same here. If it hits the hand in the box, it's a penalty. Whether it's took 3 deflections to get there is immaterial. It's a handball. Just give it. And I think just remove that little bit of ambiguity. And to be honest, it'll make things so much easier for the referees, who get an enormous amount of abuse and kind of studying done on them. I think you've just got to simplify the rules again. I really do like this one. I get what you're saying about the offside. What is a clear gap between them? But that I can see where that's coming from. And just like, right, if there's a clear gap between defender and attacker, it's offside, level is onside. If any part of that body is level, then it's onside.
But you're not gonna do anything to get over VAR being called in to draw lines, are you? Because it's like Wenger. Wenger wants to change the offside rule from any part of an attacker being ahead of the second last defender is in an offside position. He wants to change it that any part of that attacker's body that is slightly behind any part of the defender's body means he's onside. But then you're going to be freezing the pictures. You're going to be drawing lines to see whether he was in fact a little bit behind or was he not a little bit behind. So you're not going to cure the problems, the ills of offside. I think the only way you're going to solve the problems of offside is by saying black and white, He's offside. He's not offside. But even then, you're going to be drawing lines, so you're going to have VAR holding it up. It's a real tough one. It is.
Do you include in that the likes? All right, so the player not interfering in
used
play. This is what. Yeah, exactly. And for me, we almost need to get back to that because it's now a case of like, well, then they're not interfering with play at that moment in time. But then there's another two sort of passages, little passes or whatever. Then they do become part of that play. Where do you draw the line with it?
I nearly got my head ripped off by Vinnie Jones over an offside when I was doing reporting for Match of the Day. There was a game, they were playing the Borough at Ayresome Park, and I think John Hendry was on the floor. He was playing as a striker for Borough then, not Newcastle, obviously. He's on the floor, the ball gets played through and he's in an offside position, and the ball effectively gets played past him for a Borough striker who was onside to run onto. And Vinnie Jones, after the match when I was interviewing him, he almost ripped my head off because he's going, that geezer who's laid on the field, he was in an offside position, should have been given, the linesman should have put his flag up, that goal. They did lose 2-0, of course, to the Borough, so he wasn't happy. But, that was then. This is now. We're in a far different phases in play, interfering with a player, gaining an advantage. All of this comes in now into making a decision of whether somebody's offside or not.
Yeah, true enough. But I like the suggestion you made, Steve, about the golden goal. I loved that as well, to be honest. And one article I read, I'll have to try and find it again.
Was it the World Cup that it was in?
Well, they had the silver goal and the golden goal, didn't they? Do you remember that?
Yes, they did. Yeah. Now, did anybody ever win a game with the silver goal?
Yeah, I think they did. Wasn't the silver goal leading by half time? That's it. You can score a goal, but you play the remainder of the half. I think it was.
I've got something in my head about Croatia. Yeah. I mean, another thing that was suggested about that, obviously, you've got that potential of that game could go on, for hours.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But there was an article I read a few years back about withdrawing a player from each side.
I just thought of that when you were just as you were leading into that. Yeah, go ahead,
yeah. Withdrawing a player every 10 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes or something like that. Whatever. Yeah, and then obviously potentially you're left with two goalkeepers just playing a game of 1-on-1. You're definitely going to get a goal that way. But I suppose that's one way of like shortening that game down a little bit. But yeah, I love the golden goal. It was something that I remember, to my embarrassment, it was the Sunderland playoff final against Charlton. And obviously, this was around about the time the golden goal was coming in and all that kind of thing. And I genuinely, for a moment in extra time, thought that was going to be it. And we scored, obviously, in extra time and think that's the golden goal. So obviously, once you remember that, no, it doesn't apply to this particular game, and you can see Charlton actually going up to set up for the spot kick again, it was absolutely soul-destroying. Had that been in play, the fortunes of Sunderland Football Club might have been totally different. But the other thing that I would love to see quashed is certain football associations playing some rules and certain ones not. And this comes down to the VAR thing as well. This whole VAR debacle in cup games of if you're not in the Premier League, you can't have it.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre.
Good point.
That game at our place, Steve, VAR, there was no real contentious decisions anyway, I don't think. None that spring to my mind. But the fact that stadium is built for it, and that was a big game, and I don't care what anybody says, it was the biggest game in that round. However, to not have VAR available for that one just seems silly when you've got like Kenilworth Road are allowed to use it, and it's no bigger than me nana's kitchen. It just seems bizarre that other clubs can seem to be able to get away with that. So parity, I think, is what we need, Dave.
I think the EFL made a sensible decision for the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. Oh God, I've used its right name. That's wrong of me. Because Borough didn't have it at the Riverside, so they said, right, no VAR for the entire semi-finals.
Yeah,
and just ruled it all out.
That seems fair. Yeah.
But then what happens if we get to Wembley? If Borough get to Wembley, play Liverpool or Fulham, and obviously Borough still don't have VAR, do they call it out then?
Ooh.
Or is it only just because one game was going to be played at a stadium where no VAR was present? Whereas at Wembley, it's a one-off game and VAR is present. So maybe it's a different view.
Yeah.
Is that an advantage on the Premier League side?
Yeah, because they're used to it.
To playing with VAR.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it affects the referee more, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It impacts the referee more.
Because he's going to be a top-class referee who referees in the Premier League, who is going to be used to VAR. So maybe it's beneficial that you have VAR.
I think you'll probably find any referee that was going to be given that game, if they suddenly said there was no VAR, you would find him refereeing a couple of championship games beforehand.
It's.
I don't
understand. I don't understand why they do this. I really don't.
Yeah.
Because
they can.
Again,
it features in the
reason,
semi-finals,
doubt,
doesn't it? It features in the semi-finals. So I would imagine it features in the final.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So.
If Borough get past Chelsea and I've got the prayer mat out again, then I'm sure it will be a feature of the final. It'll be in there because it's Wembley.
Well, I guess we'll find out. When is the game again? Is it? It's next week, isn't it?
Yeah, it's next week.
Oh blimey! Yeah.
Week on Tuesday.
Rye's reaction to
week
that
on
one.
Tuesday.
Yes, it is.
Week today. Yeah, week today. God, it's Tuesday. Hey.
We will
know whether Borough are at Wembley.
I honestly still think they've got a really good chance of getting there.
Lineker's dissed them.
Looking at that
completely.
game.
Lineker's dissed them completely.
What does he know?
I know.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
How are we doing?
Sir.
And how many Australian questions did you get right this morning while you were sitting having your sugar puffs?
Yeah, not many.
Yeah.
Good quiz though, Ted.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ready to sweep the nation. Not this nation.
Well, I was being kind.
Next week's all about Afghanistan.
Next week's about fossils.
Well, to be honest, yeah. What a quiz about Dave.
See, I didn't dare.
I'll tee you up, mate.
Have you got it as a sound effect?
You cross them in, I'll just edit them.
Have you got a ka-ching on here? There's something near the top. Hang on. We've got to give him it, haven't we?
That's James Copley moving further towards my seat.
No, can't find it. No,
he's on YouTube now.
No ka-ching.
So Mourinho for Newcastle then?
Yeah.
Well, Jim Waite's already started the ball rolling, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Hasn't he? Yeah. Tell you what.
Would you like to see him back in the Premier League?
Well, and the first comment on was get back to Chelsea.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, would he go back there?
Would he?
No, would he?
No, we want him with Carrick. Leave him alone.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I think he's a wiser man than that to go and try and mop up that mess.
He'll sit back and wait now.
I think it's beyond him now. I mean, it's got to be. I think it'll be a Saudi job. Team up with Mo Salah, take the retirement package. Thank you very much. I think that's what it'll be.
I thought when you said Saudi job, I thought you were going to say St James's Park.
Yes, I thought you were going with that.
I missed a trick there.
Yeah,
to be fair.
You did. Yeah.
See, I don't know. I don't think he doesn't need the money clearly. And will that be enough challenge for him? I think he'll try and take on a big job still.
That's where he is, isn't he?
Yeah, but I would be hugely surprised if he went to Chelsea. I think that's. I think everyone will be stepping back from that and going, no, thank you. How much money? Still, no. Because the other thing about that as well is there must be. I mean, be careful how I say this.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah. But, personally, I think, in my own opinion...
that doesn't protect you.
No, I know, yeah. That, there may be something coming around the corner for Chelsea. Considering the spend.
Semi-final elimination.
Yes, that as well. I mean, who wants to walk into that? He's done his job. He's had huge success around the world in every league that he's been to, in every club, apart from Spurs and Man United. But yeah, I think I'm not sure a Saudi opportunity will suit him. I think he'll want something.
Do you think one last dance at a big club? Do you?
Yeah. But I don't think it'll be Chelsea. I think he's got too much sense on that.
Maybe back to Portugal.
Possibly, yeah.
He's a god there, isn't he?
He's got his roots there. The other one that he did want, he has said it before, he would have loved the England job.
Well, I was just thinking about international football for him. I don't know what Portugal's performing like at the moment, whether they're close to a change of a manager. I mean, that would suit him, wouldn't it? Portuguese national team manager.
Yeah.
But he'd probably look at that and go, what's my talent base? Ronaldo's too old now. Yeah. There's no Figo these days. I mean, who else is in there? But he'd assess it like you would assess Chelsea. What are my chances? Because the last thing he wants to do is fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't see him come back to the Premier League at the moment. I think Saudi's a good shout, though, lads.
Yeah, I don't think there's a club suits him there at the minute. As much as I poke fun about the Newcastle thing, I don't think they would do that. But I think Eddie Howe will be given the time.
Yeah, I agree with that as well, Ted. But don't you think the sort of now the dust has settled on the whole, Saudi revolution, that it's been found out?
Yes, 100%.
And
in a big way.
Yeah, and
although when I speak to my mates who live out there and live in the live in Saudi or live in Bahrain or live in Dubai, they say that the crowds are decent. They say that
some of them are.
They're saying some of the reporting that we're seeing over here that it's like 600-700 people or 200 people and a dog. It's a bit it's completely exaggerated.
There's some teams are pulling 25,000 to games.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I think there's this false narrative being suggested over here that it's literally poor crowds across the country, which just isn't the case.
Just trying to protect the Premier League, aren't they?
It's not the same as it was never going to be the same as the Premier League, was it? We said this way back in August. Could it challenge the Premier League? Well, you need to do a lot to do that, and it's nowhere near that.
No, I think
this year's Chinese Super League.
I think their aims are to make it the biggest league initially in the Gulf region, and then they'll move on to Asia at that point. I don't think they want to make it as they might do long term want to make it as big as the Premier League, but no, I think it's a regional matter for them. That's what their ambition is initially.
Yes, it's a local issue for local people.
Well, there you go. And on that note, we shall bid you adieu.
Have a lovely day, gents.
Yeah.
And
yes,
you,
guys, you too. It's been a very pleasant show, and Rye is definitely coming on tomorrow, is he?
And I am as well.
G'day.
Yeah, I'll be here as well tomorrow morning.
Got you.
Safe travels, Dave.
Thank you.
Radio Dad's off in the wild blue yonder. Yes, have a safe journey, mate.
I'll see if I can get on the show at some point.
Yeah.
See if I can. But
you don't have to, man.
Hey!
Is his station?
We'll miss you. Yeah. We'll miss you. We'll have a quiz about Dave tomorrow.
Dave's quiz. Yeah. All the questions are going to be about Dubai. Let's see what you can do, fellas. Have a good one.
Take care, guys.
See you later, lads. Ta-da.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink. The Northeast Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the Northeast, the